Have you ever heard about this, The Secret Life of Water, the book or the experiments that people have accomplished, either scientific research or even in high school science fairs, where water is exposed to positive and negative experiences, music, words? I encountered this material several years ago, and in my own kind of navigating life, have kind of developed a philosophy, a life philosophy that is around water. Some people might say that fire is your life, like on Survivor, but to me, life of water really is about water being part of us, right? And having a philosophy that is related to water might help us through challenges in life. So I'm doing a series about quitting my previous role after multiple decades working in a basically a toxic workplace. No matter how much I loved what I did and felt um, kind of the passion for what I was doing, there was something still happening to me that made it a very difficult place to be. So this video kind of relates to those. If you want to see more of those, look for the I Quit video series. I'll try to remember to link them in the description below. Hi, my name is Val. Welcome to my channel, and let's get into it. Okay, so what I find really amazing about this research that is included in this book is that when water is exposed, oops, let's see if we can look at that. When water is exposed to positive words, positive messages, and in this case, I think that they use like classical music, in contrast with negative words, dark rooms, kind of dark, abrasive sounds. The difference between how water can create a crystal or not. So the water that was exposed to positive, healthy words, calming music, light, enjoyable atmosphere, positive messages versus negative means that the positive can actually create symmetrical crystals. The negative words can't make crystals, they become asymmetrical, they have a hard time forming. And here's a couple other examples. So this made me really start to think about my experiences that I was having, because if our bodies are 95% water, wouldn't it make sense that if we are in a space where we are being treated negatively? So I was in a work environment where my colleague um, was not kind, let's say. You didn't know what you were going to get. She had kind of had a Jekyll and Hyde personality. And at some point during my time, kind of decided to turn on me. And that became, so the first few years of this particular position within my longer span career, the first few years, I was exposed to a lot of this negative talk. So she would kind of have in our weekly meetings, kind of like just literally talk crap about different people, from students on up to administration. And I didn't realize what type of effect that was having on me. So if you want to learn more about how I realized I was in a toxic workplace and the steps that I took to deal with that, check out that video. But today I really want to talk about water. So, when you think about water, and water is life, so imagine if we're being surrounded in that kind of like negative space. What does that have? What effect does that have on on our bodies? Okay. So, a few other experiences that I've had kind of led me to developing this uh, kind of life philosophy that I have to actually remind myself of a lot of times. So, when I was in Girl Scouts growing up, we did some life, like CPR and like emergency medical training and that kind of thing. And I remember living in Florida and we were doing this training in a pool, and it was all about like survival skills, like literally how do you take your jeans off, tie them in knots, blow them up and make a life vest? How do you tread water? How do you tread water for a long period of time? And I still remember those conversations about like rescuing somebody. And I never went through lifeguard training, but I imagine this is part of it. But like they kind of talked about like if you're drowning and struggling, instead of treading water, you can actually drown your rescuer, and then two people don't make it, right? So what they say is that you have to relax and be calm, right? So even though you're having a very extreme reaction, right? We're in our flight or fight mode in that moment. The best thing you can do is to relax and stay calm, especially if somebody is coming to help you. Okay. The next experience that I relate this to is thinking about rip tides. So, if you're getting caught in a rip tide, the advice is actually to swim and to let the rip tide kind of like take you, and it'll like spit you out, because if you fight the rip tide, you're gonna get sucked under, and you also like lose your energy to be able to because the water of the riptide is so strong. Now, this is not necessarily like I've heard of riptides even recently, like taking somebody like super far out, and then they have to be like rescued from helicopters and stuff like that. But anyway, but just like think about the concept of that, right? Like if you relax in that water, the riptide ultimately should take you out. In this past year, I actually had an interesting experience of working with my forest therapy certification, and the location where we were at was coastal. So I was on a break and standing in the water and just like thinking about the tide of the water, and how water comes in and kind of like takes the sand away, and the ebb and flow of tides was really something that I was thinking a lot about as well. So when you relax in a body of water, you can float, right? And things are calm, and you can kind of have like a sense of like being able to solve the problems, right? You're not in that fight or flight mode anymore. So several years ago, I had a like vacation planned, and I really wanted to go whitewater rafting. So I had some people that I didn't know. I kind of like recruited people to go with me on a trip. So I wasn't traveling with people that I had known for an extremely long amount of time. I was traveling with people that I had just met. A lot of tours, you're going to experience that in life. So anyway, we were on a whitewater rafting trip, and at the beginning of a whitewater rafting trip, they go through all of the safety measures, right? So don't stand up in the boat, don't rock the boat. So that is what basically ended up happening. We were on a class 5 river, and the season, it was a little bit less water than they had normally have to make it flow really evenly. So the whitewater rafting company, there were maybe 20 boats, I can't remember, and each boat has a guide, and we were the last boat to go through the last class 5 rapid. And the water at that point was very shallow, so there were rocks, and two people on each side of the boat and the guide. So also not knowing these people, right, and not knowing how they navigate their problem solving skills or their life, how whatever it might be. I remember that somebody was like adjusting in the front, and I was sitting in the back right, and the person in the front was kind of like adjusting, and the person on the left side stood up to like help that person. And because that person stood up, we all tumbled out of the boat. All four of us fell out, and there's nothing basically that the guide can do. So in that moment, you've got a life jacket on, and I had a hat on, and all I could think about was just letting go and breathing and making sure that I took enough of a breath that when the water sucked me down, I would be able to hold my breath because I didn't know how long it would be. And that lesson of kind of giving in to the water and the power of water and allowing the water to like take you to that spot, right? So I distinctly remember kind of being like floating down and then just being sucked in. And knowing that I was okay in terms of, because I have a life jacket and that eventually will pop you back up. So I popped back up and there was just water like coming down on me. And because I had the hat on, I had space to breathe. So I took another like super deep breath and got sucked down again. And it's all dark because I had contacts at the time and I was closed my eyes and shot back up, and immediately there were people coming to rescue. There was the training, the safety training that they go through at the beginning of the experience where they're going to throw a buoy at you, you hold it, they're going to, you know, row to you, and then in which they grab your life vest and pull you onto the boat. So all four of us fell out at the exact same time, and we all popped up in different places. But the good thing was we were the last boat. So everybody else had gone through, there was a long line going through this last class 5 rapid. So those people that had gone through the rapid before us were watching this happen. And that meant all of the guides were available and ready to go into action. And that was an incredible experience. It was so traumatic in the moment, and like, oh gosh, I survived this thing. But how amazing it was when people come together to like help each other. To me was one of those life altering moments, right? So I have, and at the end of it, that my guide, they got us, they rescued all of us, they got us back into our original boat, and we went and finished the ride. And at the end of it, I think I was still a little shaken, and my guide came up to me and told me that that was one of the scariest moments for him as well. People can die on whitewater rafting trips. You sign a liability waiver, right? So my biggest takeaway with that is like this life lesson about breathing and relaxing. And when life's obstacles hit us, whether it be a riptide kind of feeling where we feel like we're just getting the rug pulled out from under us, we might be getting pounded by a wave, which knocks us over, or something like a class 5 rapid, where we're just like literally being knocked off of our feet and getting sucked under into this turmoil that is so difficult to deal with, that we are in a dark space and eventually we're going to pop up out of it. We need to take a breath, assess the surroundings, and it might suck us back down again. But when we come back up, if we look for the people that are there to help us we've got our life jacket on and pull us out, right? So what I try to think about is when I'm experiencing obstacles that are like that, I try to remember these particular moments in time. And this has come from a, kind of like a lifetime of just like, oh, aha moments of like these things happen, right? But this Secret Life of Water, I actually think I need to reread this now that it's been a few years since I got this book and have had all of these experiences, and then also have left my career and started over. Um, because that is the thing that I truly, truly, truly try to remember. All of these traumatic moments that I have not had any control over, that I've just had to kind of relax and be breathing and then assess the landscape to be able to have some sort of strategy to survive, right? So we could be on a river on a really nice day, but it could be storming upstream, and that could mean a flash flood watch, right? So if we're not able to manage problems that are heading our way by being distracted or what have you, then we're up for some challenges, right? So be like water and think about water as life's obstacles start to pound at you. What can you do to relax and breathe and kind of like assess the escape route, so to speak? That's kind of what I did when I left my career. So if you're experiencing any of that, or if this water concept, water philosophy, makes any sense to you, please leave me a comment. I'm new to YouTube and I'm trying to share my stories. So basically, what happened was after a long period of time of dealing with this toxic workplace, and it wasn't just one place, it was kind of my career. So once I got into academia, I was in that for the long haul. I had a goal of being a full professor, right? And the obstacles and the hurdles that you have to get to being promoted a certain amount of times to that level. And I actually had to change employers several times because of the challenges that I was being faced that I didn't at first recognize was a toxic workplace. So once I figured that out in 2018, um, I had assessed the situation and made the plans to forge what I call the unpaved path. So if you look at some of the other videos that I've been creating, they are some of the challenges that I'm tackling now that I live in a rural area. And what I'm trying to do every day is when I have these challenges, big or small, I'm trying to remember this water metaphor. Well, one of the things that I did after I left that job, I knew that it was going to take a long time for me to recover from that psychological trauma, right? Because the water concept, I was being subjected to this extreme negativity for more than a decade. So all of this like attacks on my personal conduct. I was being accused of being a plagiarizer. I was being told that I wasn't good enough by this particular colleague who was bullying me and trying to convince everybody else that I wasn't qualified, that I shouldn't be there, all of these different things. Those were her tactics to try and get me to leave, right? But I stayed true to what I believed in. What I didn't realize was the impact it was having on my physical body and my psyche. And I think that that relates to this idea that if you have 95% of water in your body and you're being attacked constantly, can you create beauty? Is that water in your body contaminated and not able to make beautiful crystals, right? The concept of the book. So one of the things that I wanted to do when I left was to travel to Japan that fall. So I left the summer of 2018, and during the fall of 2018, for a few weeks, I scheduled myself on a trip, kind of a health and wellness, exploring Japan on my own trip, um, as knowing that I probably wouldn't be able to travel again for quite a bit of time. Now, I had been to Japan several times as a study as an educator, so as a study abroad. I ran a couple of courses over there, and then I've also traveled by myself. So I went to Japan on my sabbatical, and then I also had done some research trips. But I had had some negative experiences from this academic kind of overlord, the administrative thing. So I really wanted to reclaim and go to Japan on my own and go during fall and experience this autumnal beautifulness of Japan. So lately, I've been working on cleaning out some of my files, and I'm working on these videos for YouTube, and I came across a folder full of short videos that I had taken while in Japan 5 years ago. And all of them have to deal with water. So if you stay tuned, what I have coming up next is just little snippets of water that I observed through Japan. And I think it's about 20 minutes. So hopefully that will just give you some beauty and just something that you can enjoy, just relaxing. The sounds go from calm to a little bit more powerful. And maybe just think about water and the power of water, checking out this book. And yeah, so enjoy that. And I look forward to bringing you more videos. So it would be really amazing if you subscribe to help me grow what I'm doing, and make any comments if you would like. And please, thinking about the secret life of water, always think about being kind and negative comments and how negativity can really affect you as the person spreading the negativity and the receivers, right? Because we really want to try and work on healing our world right now. There's so much negativity, and I'm on a mission personally to work towards the calmness and the more positive aspects of human life, my human life, and our human life, human beings, not human doings. So anyway, enjoy the next 20 minutes of water in Japan.
够了吧？哦，走。哎呀，妈呀！ どれが
間違えたの？お姉さんとも？だから今日って言ったんだって。あらまあ。傷んでなかったって言ったら大丈夫って。あらまあ今日ついた。うんうん、ここに秋のここの色だけど。
何回も撮ってる。
全部ある
どっちでもいいよ。
全部ある
好きにして。
全部あげて全部あげていい
ちょっとちょうだい。
全部あげたいんで
何あれ。あ、いいじゃん。Ya, la harap gitu.
Attachment